And we are live. So, this will be a quick video today, but it's primarily going to be about one thing. Utopia. The idea of a utopia, the idea of a perfect society, and why it is 100% unattainable. Can't do it. I'm terribly sorry. In fact, it's kind of impossible to achieve. And why is that? Well, I'm going to go ahead and present with you a thought experiment. This is hot coffee. Why is this coffee hot? Why do I consider this hot? Do you have the answer? I'll tell you in a second. This coffee is hot because it is hotter than my hand and my body and the surrounding area. It's only hot because I have something else to compare it to that you might call cold. A utopia, or a perfect society. First off, perfection impossible to achieve simply because humans, we are imperfect creatures, and to alter humans in order to fit a society, to destroy what is there in order to bring about the utopia, that's more of a dystopia. That, right off the bat, kind of destroys the idea. But the problem is that a utopia or a perfect society is, by definition, better than what you had before. It has to be. After all, you don't live in perfection, and perfection is the only thing that makes a perfect society. So, let's go ahead and say, thought experiment. Somehow you manage to bring about your perfect civilization. That thing that you have in your head, that you believe is the perfect civilization. Anyone raised in that civilization will not understand why it's perfect, because to them, it will be normal. To them, it won't be perfect, it'll just be business as usual. I'm sitting here, I just recently had a meal, which was composed of about 5 different vegetables and 3 different kinds of meats, all from different parts of the world. I did not have to raise any of these creatures, I did not have to toil horribly to achieve them, and though I cooked it myself, it was not terribly difficult. So the thing is, here I am, sitting in my air-conditioned cave, basically, with luxuries that in previous eras kings wouldn't even be able to afford. Is this a utopia? Some people of the past would have thought so. From a material perspective, people living in first world countries are basically living in paradise. We can acquire almost anything that in previous generations would have been impossible. So the fact of the matter is oftentimes so many people are dissatisfied with their lives because their lives are business as usual. So when things go wrong, it's seen as a lowering from the normal. To give you perspective on this one, celebrities regularly die from deaths of depression, overdose, thrill-seeking, things of that nature. So a lot of people think to themselves, oh, if I were rich and famous, I'd be happy. Or even if I was just rich. But you wouldn't be. The human brain, as it is, gets used to things terrifyingly quickly, which is why there's that old saying that you can never truly be happy. That happiness is a pursuit, chasing the tail of the dragon, as it were. Because as soon as you are happy with something, your brain will get used to it. Once your brain gets used to it, it becomes business as normal. Anything lower becomes intolerable, and anything higher becomes a goal. So, a utopia, even if everybody on Earth could agree what a perfect society was. Let's go ahead and say for just half a second that every living human being on Earth agreed as to what a perfect society was, and this didn't have to be achieved by just murdering everyone who disagreed or brainwashing the kids. But let's go ahead and say that somehow we all got together and we talked it out and we agreed, yes, this is exactly what a perfect society is, X, Y, and Z, and now we have X, Y, and Z. You're going to get used to it, and then you're going to start seeing the cracks, even if the cracks are non-existent. To somebody who has never had an injury before, stubbing a toe is going to be the worst thing in the world. To somebody who has been stabbed, a minor laceration is going to not bother them over much. To someone who's been in a car crash, loud noises are not so bothersome. But to somebody who's, let's go ahead and say they've been raised in a quiet place all their lives, a little firecracker going off is going to terrify them. It's all relative. And if you were raised in a utopia, you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't, because you would just think, oh, this is just what life is. Even if you were raised in a perfect environment, you would find something to be dissatisfied with, or you would make something up, because that's what we do. That's what we as humans do. We find ourselves in a situation, we get used to it, and of course things have a tendency to fall apart on their own, or bad things have a tendency to happen. So when they happen, you think to yourself, this is intolerable. And once you get used to your situation, you start thinking to yourself, well, how could it be better? It could be better. And then you strive towards it. And that's a good thing, because that is what we have done since the dawn. And that is exactly what we have done that's allowed us to reach heights that no other creature, as far as we know, on this planet has ever achieved. Because we're constantly dissatisfied. The reason we chase this dream of utopia, some of us, anyways, the reason that we chase this dream of a perfect civilization is because it's in our nature. And it's a good thing that it's in our nature. But at the same time, we have to understand that there are certain things that we should not do. But that'll be a topic for another video. But for now, I just wanted to get it out there that's terribly sorry. Utopia is impossible. And that's okay. Because that means that if you ever did create the perfect civilization and your kids or someone else's kids would be raised in it, and they would look around and say to themselves, this could be a little bit better. And who knows? They might even be able to take it into a better step, because there is no such thing as achieving perfection. There's always a crack somewhere. Cheers. You have a very good night, and remember, listen to no one. Oh, and as a side note, for any of you stim addicts out there or coffee lovers, next time you brew something up, try mixing in some cinnamon, some cloves, a little bit of allspice. Really helps. Just a pinch. Have a good night.